Some call him the Guru, while others refer to him as the Bull, or most recently, the Spirit of Africa. But one thing is sure, Adenuga is like the proverbial Iroko tree, who is unlike any other in terms of humility, wealth, and portfolio of investment. He is one of a kind. In any area of business that he plays, he almost always makes a significant impact, and the facts are there for all to see. With a current net worth of $6.8 billion and the 5th on Forbes Africa's billionaire list, this is the story of multi-billionaire Mike Adenuga. In the year 1953 and on the 29th of April, Mike was born to Oloye Michael Adenuga Sr. and Chief Mrs. Juliana Oyindamola Adenuga, the Yeye Oba of Ijebu-land. Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr. was not a child born with a silver spoon, but his parents were comfortable. He attended the famous Ibadan Grammar School and had his university education in the United States, where he majored in business administration with emphasis on marketing. While in school, to augment the allowance sent by his parents, he worked as a taxi driver, putting in many hours of work a week. It could be said that his habit of backbreaking hard work shaped him for his ambitious business adventures later in life. As soon as he finished his studies in the United States, Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr. returned to Nigeria with his mother already into business. He sat under her tutelage and began trading. Dr. Adenuga Jr., who is the youngest of his parents' 5 children, began by selling removable car stereos. It was probably after his father sensed his flair for business that he was allowed to run the family sawmill factory in Ogun State. He began to steadily grow the business. First, he went into the importation of sawmill equipment, then veered into the importation of beer, eventually hitting it big with his importation of lace. Recounting those early days, the businessman explained how he was returning home from a trip in the United States when he missed his British Airways flight and had to fly Swiss Air. On that flight, he was lucky to sit next to the owner of one of the biggest lace manufacturing companies in Austria. He it was who convinced him before the flight touched down to give lace importation a shot. He took this advice and the reward was good. Later, he also went into tomato puree and vegetable oil. He was a sort of jack of all trades and master of all. And by the age of 26, it doesn't come by surprise that he had made his first million. As he grew older with more financial muscle, he decided to streamline his operations and look for investments in key sectors of the economy to concentrate on. That was how he began to structure the Mike Adenuga Group, where he is chairman. In the early 1980s, General Ibrahim Babangida, eager to encourage local participation, decided to break the monopoly of foreigners in the oil industry and encourage Nigerians to participate. For many, the risks were too high and the competition too fierce. But for one man, Mike Adenuga, it was the chance of a lifetime. He was one of those who took up the challenge. His company, Consolidated Oil, formed in 1984, applied for and was granted some oil blocks. It was a very risky decision, and even his mother advised him against it. He spent over $100 million on evaluation, interpretation, and drilling. In 1991, his courage and tenacity paid off when Consolidated Oil became the first Nigerian company to explore, discover, and produce oil in large commercial quantities. Now called Corn Oil Producing Limited, it is currently the leading indigenous oil and gas exploration and producing company in Africa. Years later, in the year 2000, he bought over the National Oil and Chemicals Company, NOChem, originally a government-owned company, established to distribute and market petroleum products across Nigeria. But over time, the company faced challenges that affected its efficiency and profitability. Subsequently, he took over the government's majority shares and has since ingested fresh funds into the company and rechristened it Corn Oil PLC. Corn Oil PLC has over 450 retail outlets all over the country and is the acknowledged leader of development in modern retail outlets such as mega stations and non-space pumps in new-look retail outlets. It is the market leader in aviation fuels. Adenuga's most ambitious project yet is in telecommunications. His company Globalcom is allegedly the second national operator in the country, the first being the government-owned Nitel. It is obvious that with Globacom, Adenuga is not interested in short-term profit. He is there for the long haul, and of course, his desire to give Nigerians and Africans world-class telecommunication services. When he launched the network, he was 2 years behind the others. Adenuga's entry strategy was to be innovative and aggressive. He waged a price war, democratized and simplified telephone services. Today, the ultimate risk-taker has taken Globacom from the roots to the zenith of the industry. Glo was the only operator in Africa to launch its operations on the superior 5G network, which enabled the convergence of voice, data, and multimedia technologies. But more importantly, it launched operations on per-second billing, thus ensuring subscribers only pay for actual time spent on a call instead of the practice of billing customers 50 naira per minute even when the call cuts off at just 2 seconds. It also dropped the cost of SIM cards from 30,000 naira to 6,999 naira and later 100 naira, thereby making it possible for low-income earners and students to own GSM lines today. The network currently has over 60 million subscribers and is the most preferred network in Nigeria, with a vast network of already laid fiber crisscrossing all parts of the country. The Globacom network comprehensively covers over 400,000 communities in all the 36 states and all major highways. It has highly successful subsidiary networks operating in other West African countries, reputed to be very hands-on in the operations of his business. Dr. Adenuga, whose daughter, the cerebral Mrs. Bella Disu, is the executive vice chairman, Globacom still gets briefs on the day-to-day running of his business empire. One of his creations, Glo 1, is the only solely owned high-capacity submarine cable with connection to the USA and running from the UK through African and European countries. It has been and continues to be a huge commercial success at the heart of the socio-economic development of Nigeria. And it is even more remarkable that it is a Nigerian company that has pulled off this ambitious project. One of Adenuga's close associates said the idea of building a submarine cable birthed when the entrepreneur went on a business trip to Paris, the French capital, sometime around 2008. While there, he found out that telephone calls to Nigeria were epileptic, unlike the connection between France and other parts of Europe. When he made enquiries about what could be done to solve the problem, he was told it was to have an international submarine cable. There and there, Dr. Adenuga decided to build Glo 1. And the rest, they say, is now history. Nigeria is a reservoir of talents when it comes to entertainment, and it seems Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr. understands the nitty-gritty of talent discovery and spotting hidden treasures, especially as it affects the youths. This explains Glo's humongous investment in talent hunt shows in the last 18 years. It has sponsored shows like Rock and Roll, Glo Naija Sings, Laughter Fest, and the world #1 music singing talent reality TV show, X Factor, which birthed in Africa for the first time in 2013. Others are Slide and Bounce Concert, an entertainment tour which went round all the geopolitical zones of the country, as well as Glo Mega Music Show and Glo's Battle of the Year, which gave the winners a life-changing 9 million naira prize money, a Toyota Hiace bus valued at 25 million naira, and other prizes. You might think you've heard it all, but you would be wrong. By this time, Adenuga was already a successful businessman with interest in oil and gas. But he wasn't one to rest on his laurels. He understood that wealth wasn't just about making money, but about creating systems that could sustain and multiply it. Hence, his decision to venture into banking. He established the Equatorial Trust Bank, ETB, in the late 1980s, a financial organization that was destined to revolutionize banking for Nigerians. It was no small accomplishment. There were already many obstacles and fierce competition in the banking sector. Adenuga, however, flourished here, contributing the same courage and inventiveness that had characterized his previous pursuits. ETB immediately became known as a bank that was sensitive to the needs of both individuals and companies. By providing cutting-edge financial products and guaranteeing top-notch customer service, the bank rose to prominence in Nigeria's banking industry. This achievement was largely due to Adenuga's leadership. His ability to spot bright professionals allowed him to carry out his vision while keeping the bank's emphasis on providing value. But this wasn't just about building a bank. For Adenuga, ETB was part of a bigger plan. As someone deeply involved in oil and telecommunications, He saw banking as a way to create synergy across his businesses. ETB became a financial backbone, funding large-scale projects and supporting small businesses, many of which played a role in Nigeria's economic development. And in 2011, Equatorial Trust Bank merged with Sterling Bank in a strategic move that marked the end of ETB as a separate entity. By the early 1990s, Nigeria's rapid urbanization was creating a housing and commercial property boom, and Adenuga, being one with a sharp eye for opportunities, realized that real estate was a wealth generator that could stand the test of time. Immediately, he began to acquire prime properties in Lagos, Abuja, and Accra, focusing on areas poised for exponential growth. The Mike Adenuga Center in Ikoyi, Lagos, is one of Adenuga's most renowned real estate contributions. The Alliance Francaise Lagos, a cultural center dedicated to advancing French language and culture in Nigeria, is housed in this architectural wonder. The center, which was finished in 2018, is an example of how business and philanthropy can coexist. Adenuga has made significant investments in commercial buildings, office complexes, and opulent residences in addition to cultural venues. His properties serve global firms looking for first-rate office space as well as Nigerians' expanding middle and upper classes. Industry sources say that his real estate holding is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, making him one of the biggest private property owners in West Africa. However, exact numbers are still unclear. On a personal level, Mike Adenuga can be described as the most generous Nigerian alive. Describing Adenuga's large heart in an article, the Boss newspaper publisher Dele Momodu wrote, "Every man should wake up and pray to meet and become good friends with the spirit of Africa." Aside all his various acts of generosity towards his friends, associates, and the less privileged, during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, Adenuga was the first to donate 1.5 billion naira to fight the dreaded coronavirus scourge. He set the stage for other Nigerians to contribute to the management of the disease. This is typical of the guru. He leads, others follow. According to Adenuga, how much money can one individual or his family enjoy? You must spread it and touch lives, because that is what brings true happiness and joy. What's the point if your friend is wealthy and it doesn't show on his friends? This businessman loves generosity, but he also enjoys a little luxury for himself. Among the private aircraft in Adenuga's fleet are the Dassault Falcon 7X and Bombardier Global Express XRS at tens of millions of dollars apiece. These aircraft are among the most opulent in the world, with interiors designed to Adenuga's exact standard and cutting-edge technology. Because of the Global Express XRS's well-known long-range capabilities, for example, Adenuga may travel non-stop from Lagos to major corporate cities like New York, Dubai, or Paris. Although Adenuga's precise real estate and aviation investment value are unknown, it is believed that his portfolio of real estate is worth over $500 million, and his fleet of planes is worth an additional $200 million. In addition to becoming a millionaire, Mike Adenuga is a symbol of African business and what can happen when hard work and vision are combined. His story serves as a reminder that success is not just handed to anyone, but is earned through bold decisions, hard work, and an unshakable belief in oneself.